Hi, good evening, and welcome to this week's installment of the Minority Report. We're here on Tobago Updates this evening, as we usually are on a Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. We apologize for the slightly late start due to technical difficulties, but we're up and running this evening. And we want to encourage you as we log into the show. You can view this program on the Tobago Updates website, the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, the Tobago Updates Facebook page, and I know that's the one that most of you log into, the Tobago Updates Facebook page. And we also have a new addition to the cast, the M&E station as well, M&E. So those of you who are accustomed to logging in to see or to view the M&E station, you can also look at the Minority Report on that particular network. If you want to share your comments and to make recommendations, you want to make comments, you want to share your ideas, you can also send us messages on the WhatsApp number, that is 284-6597, 284-6597. And we really want you to share with us some of your ideas and even to help us to improve the program, things that you would want to see, discussions that you would also want to have. But more importantly, we want to be able to also entertain ideas and issues that you may see. There are things that you can identify within your particular district and you want it to be treated with, whether it's an issue, whether it's a problem, whether it's something that is affecting the community. You can also feel free to send those issues in to us on the WhatsApp number 284-6597, and we are going to be able to do the research, the necessary research, and ventilate those issues with the means and the aim of having them addressed. So this evening we have quite an interesting show lined up for you. We're going to be treating with some of the issues. We're going to be ventilating certain things that have been taking place in Tobago over the last couple of weeks or so, and things that we definitely feel that the public needs to be aware of and things that need to be brought to light. However, before we get there, we're going to look a bit at our headline corner. And we would have seen over the last couple of weeks a whole barrage of adverse weather conditions, and we would have identified the way that it would have impacted different places on the island. And we want to take the opportunity to advise and to caution many of us, especially those who are in affected areas with landslips and so on, to really be careful on the roadways. You know, these things there's a reason why they call them accidents, and we want everyone to be mindful in terms of speeding on the road. Let's take our time as we go about the nation's roadways and so forth. What has been disappointing to us, however, we've seen an increase over the last couple of days in what started off as just one incident, but now we're seeing a number of gun-related incidents. Up to earlier on this evening in Mason Hall, we had a firearm issue where, over an argument, one individual would have drawn a firearm at another one. We saw over the weekend the incidences of shooting at a mini-mart in Backhill. In Wim there, we saw another murder in the Mount Race area, I think it was, and a number of issues. And I really want to take the opportunity this evening to make the call out to Tobago. We have seen these things begin very slowly, but now it seems that there is a mounting. These things are happening at a pace that has never been seen before. I remember last year, I think it was, the murder toll for the entire year was 7. Now we're already at 8, and the year still has 3 months literally before we are completed. So I want to put this call out there, especially to religious organizations, leaders, pastors, priests, imams, pundits. It's time that we kind of take lead in harnessing this scourge that we've seen take over the island. So folks, let's be vigilant, let's be mindful of what we're seeing taking place, and let's keep our cool. Let's always even be our brother's keeper in this time. I want to take the opportunity, however, to send out congratulations to Alan Stewart and his team at TEMA for the remarkable job that they've been doing over the last couple of weeks. We knew on entering the rainy season that we would have had some challenges, and I think that TEMA has definitely stepped up to the plate. And in his discussion, he would have indicated that presently they're dealing with 388 reports on the island of different issues and so on, and we've been able to see TEMA really step up to the mark and meet the challenge. So we want to encourage TEMA, we want to encourage Mr. Stewart to continue holding fast to their commitment to service and a standard of service that we've seen rolled out over the last couple of days. In the good news segment, however, also we want to say that, you know, it's some good news for the tourism sector on the island. We saw CAL indicate that they are now adding flights for the Tobago Carnival, and I know a number of stakeholders, this would literally give them a sort of breathing space and a relief. So CAL definitely answering the call, and we want to thank the management of CAL, and we want to thank the government as well for their work in intervening in this particular issue. So that's it for our good news segment. We're going to go for a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to dive right into this evening's program as we have our usual special guest with us in studio, raring to go, bubbling with information. So stay locked on, and we're going to be right back. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
I'm Roxanne Hepburn, the Managing Director of La Marche Parfait Day Spa. And now guess what? We're in Tobago, and we are so excited to serve Tobago. La Marche Parfait Day Spa Tobago will be open to the public from Monday the 5th. Some of the services that you can access will be infrared body steam, spa parties, body treatments, massages, pedicures, manicures, waxing, carviation, radio, and lipo slimming and cellulite wrap treatment. We are located at number 1 Main Road, Barrington's Court, Bonaccord Village.
Soccer Chop! Are you ready? On Sunday 23rd October at the Dwight York Stadium, featuring a man who understands the assignment.
Attention, cheaters, I get sick of it.
The ladies' choice.
Girl, you got the body, I forgot this. Some girl attack, tell them, say them happy.
Jamaica's hitmaker.
I tell us, them me now worry about no. As long as me got life.
DJ!
Me girl out the road, so she want love the woman on me yard.
Sunday, October 23rd, 3 a.m. to 10 a.m.
At the Dwight York Stadium is water,
Paint, foam,
powder,
coolers, and bikinis.
and breakfast in the biggest Troubaix Fred and Tobago Carnival.
Soca Jam.
Soccer Chop!
Hi, good evening and welcome back. We're here on Tobago Updates on the program, The Minority Report. And before we actually get into the meat of the matter this evening, I'd like to introduce my guests in studio. To my far right, we have our minority leader, Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, in studio with us.
Good evening, Marilyn. Good evening, Minority Councillor Daniel Benoit. And good evening to all of our viewers out there. Thank you for logging on and thank you for the support.
Nicely, and as he would have already introduced, we have minority counselor to my immediate right, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit as well, back with us.
Yes, good evening. It's always great to be on the Minority Reports, and I also want to give a special shout out to our loyal viewers, listeners. I was at a meeting earlier this afternoon, and persons wanted to wrap up what they were doing to ensure that they can tune into the Minority Report. Yes. So we really do appreciate the support. We thank you for tuning in episode after episode, and you are what made the Minority Report what it is. So thank you.
So true, so true. So guys, this evening we have quite a bit of discussions that we want to roll out. However, before we actually get into it, we have some clips that we want to be to see and to hear. As we always do, we don't just provide small talk on the Minority Report. We provide accurate information, as they always say, from the horse's mouth.
So the caption.
Caption this.
So folks, we already seen the caption on the screen, and we want to go to the producer, and I'll ask him to run those clips for us back to back, and then we get into our discussions this evening.
Easy to see, my dear friends. It is easy to see something ain't right. Something is not right. See? Somebody says sell out. Is it sell out or buy out? Which one it is? Notice I express no view on the matter.
Madam Presiding Officer, if I look in the Bible to find a contextual definition of what wickedness in high places is, this will be a classic example. But it doesn't stop there. I go to executive minute number 24. On the same day, November the 4th, 2020, the same day, the very same day that they made that first exec council approval, the executive sat on that same day, 13 days before giving us an election day, and granted covering approval for the engagement of suitably qualified local contractors to perform emergency restoration works to failing infrastructure throughout the island of Tobago that have been caused by inclement weather or otherwise. They granted approval for the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment to sole select suitably qualified firms from the Assembly's pool of pre-registered contractors to execute the works. Madam Presiding Officer, it begs the question, how much more financially wayward and reckless behavior can an executive in a government exhibit? And let me say no. Let me pause to say no. This kind of behavior will be unacceptable under my stewardship and is unacceptable under the stewardship of this executive council.
Into the scheduled sitting, there was the production and the presentation by Chief Secretary of an audit statement coming out of the roadworks, which is directly connected to your division. Of course, there were a number of queries that would have been highlighted, and the follow-up that happened from there, specific at that, responses from the political leader of the People's National Movement and others. We want to get started this morning by looking in the first instance at the discussion that speaks to the process that would have been engaged within the context of the Tobago House of Assembly, and specific at that, the allegations are that the same process would have been utilized by this current Tobago House of Assembly for sole select. All right?
Absolutely not, Julian. What happened under the last administration is that the Secretary of Infrastructure went to the Executive Council asking the Executive Council to contract these works specifically to these few contractors. And the Executive Council, led by Mr. Dennis, agreed. And so the two things are a bit day and night. The processes we have implemented is one where we have sat down, the staff at the PMO sat down with a bag of 40 contractors. They developed a logical framework matrix, a modified version of that, with 20 assessments. And out of that, we've selected contractors to which we can ask for selective contracting.
That all these contracts would have been given to Trinidad contractors over Tobago contractors.
It matters not, Julian. However, at the division, you see, the Chief Secretary presented the audit, but at the division, the information on the projects were available, and it was clear to us that there might be a position in the future when these contracts were audited, and we are not going to complicate matters by offering selective tendering to contractors who are being audited, so that you would find, when I use the parks example, in an open tender, anybody can tender, and the assessment will be based on the project criteria. But in a strategic manner, as an assembly, we need to demonstrate that we have an understanding of the history, and especially the recent history. And so the criteria that we've developed would determine who contractors. It doesn't matter if they're from Trinidad, Tobago, or China. It doesn't matter.
Well, yes, that was indeed a mini movie. We saw a number of inconsistent statements being made. We saw a number of misleading statements being made. We saw a number of deceitful statements being made, and deceitful to the people of Tobago, deceitful to the intelligent people of the island. I don't know where to start. I don't even know where to start with this. And Minority Leader, you kick it off.
Well, this is a sad day for Tobago. They say when you own do it is well done. It's one thing to be done by outsiders, but when it is done, when the wound is inflicted by your own, is one that is so difficult to accept. I'm looking at this, and you can see where there's a clear and deliberate, well-orchestrated plan to, one, in the first instance, discredit the qualified Tobago contractors. So the first thing that this administration did was to ensure that every Tobago contractor that has the capacity to undertake work in Tobago, that they put them under the cloud of investigation. So immediately, and you heard it from the Secretary himself, they have strategically disqualified. And my pause is raising at this point. Our own Tobago-based PDP, who said they were Tobagonians, the party Tobagonians for Tobago, Tobago for Tobagonians,
and party before politics.
And party before politics.
Yeah.
They have systematically disqualified our Tobago-based contractors from getting jobs, quality contracting jobs in Tobago. And the question is, if our Tobago-based contractors cannot get jobs in Tobago, where are they going to get the jobs from? The question is, when you disqualify these contractors that are employing Tobagonians, Tobago families, how are these families going to earn $1? How are these families going to live? how is Tobago as an economy going to grow? And it is sad. It is the greatest sellout of the greatest little island on the planet we are witnessing right before our eyes.
It indeed raises a lot of concern and a lot of questions, because and just to touch on one of the things that was said, we heard the Chief Secretary in his presentation speak to a soul select process.
No, but
and he clearly stated that under his administration, and folks, this is why we like to play the clips back.
No, but we need to go back to what he said. And when we came back, I was taking notes. And he said that the Executive Council approved that suitably qualified local contractors should be engaged. He also went on to say that they were sole selected from a pool of pre-qualified contractors.
So how you could
I don't understand the sole select from a pool.
If you take from a pool, how did you sole select?
Right?
I don't think people understand.
So that's what I'm saying.
Let's
so that is
explain
a
that
great
process.
deception.
Let's explain the process, Minority Councillor. Go ahead.
Right. So then we go back and I'm just going on.
So you were saying this is what happened under the PNM?
Yes, under the PNM.
Good.
So the Executive Council approved that these things happen.
Good.
Then when you go now to the clip from
Trevor,
the Secretary of Infrastructure, he went on to speak of Executive Council, which is this PDP administration, Executive Council, approving selected contractors. Is this the same administration with the same Chief Secretary that said that under his watch that will not happen?
That will not happen.
Those were the words. And I am sure I did not hear incorrectly. Did you hear?
No, we could play it back for persons who log in on after.
So that
we'll play it back.
An appreciation, because these are his words.
And then it goes on to say that, well, the host was asking if the contractors were Trinidad contractors. And the Secretary of Infrastructure went on to say it matters not.
And that's on this station, eh?
Yes.
Okay.
It matters not who are the contractors. But it does matter.
It does matter.
Yes,
it does matter. And we will go into why it matters later.
Exactly.
And
Yes,
the minority
definitely.
leader would have alluded to some of the things. Because once local contractors are employed, there's a multiplier effect.
Correct.
Because it trickled down to the man on the ground. It trickled down to the resident Tobago man and woman, and it helps them. It provides them with the ability to sustain their family.
Exactly.
So it does matter.
It does matter.
It also helps the THA, because this Chief Secretary is on record as saying that the THA's workforce is too large. And if we are to grow the private sector, it is through opportunities, because the construction sector is one of the largest sectors in Tobago that employs outside of the THA, the largest amount of workers. And if you now have a situation where your major contractors have been, and in a real sense, blacklisted, because it's now saying they have become judge, juror, and executioner. And they are saying that these people, because they created their own reason for an audit, will not be getting any work in any strategic way under them. So unless it is an open tender, they are not going to select these contractors.
And let me just bring something back, because I know, Petal, you're raring to present some information. Let me just clear this up for our listeners. The Secretary said that the Chief Secretary presented an audit. The Chief Secretary never presented an audit.
No point in time he presented
no point in time. What he presented was a preliminary.
And one of the, you see, I want Tobagonians to understand, the Chief Secretary, and I'll say it without contradiction, is very deceptive. And I would give you one prime example. In that presentation of the audit, of the incomplete preliminary audit, which is that incomplete document, which is subject
to come.
Right, in that presentation, he gave a commitment to the House that there was an addendum because he provided some evidence that none of us could
Nobody.
verify,
Yes.
of vote books and different
Exactly.
things. And up to this date, we have not received that addendum that he gave the commitment to the House.
Yes.
And I'm calling on him because I have already written to the clerk of the House, and I'm calling on the Chief Secretary to make true on his commitment to the House, to provide us with the document so that we all can see these so-called roads that they are claiming that was paid for, that was not done. Because he's putting a lot of mischief into the space.
Yes.
There's one issue as well that this current administration has not yet addressed, and it is the issue of the inflated cost.
Yes.
Because here you have a chief
We're going to deal
secretary
with that tonight.
that is coming to Tobagonians, making all kind of accusations about persons being corrupt and persons trying to rob the treasury of the THA. And at the same time, you are openly committing your administration to paying fees that are even higher than the fees you
Close
said
to 100%.
that is corrupt.
That is corrupt.
It's almost 100%. So because in his evidence, in his information he brought forward, he said the THA would have paid these contractors and agreed some, and it was agreed between the contractors and the THA.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anybody being blinded by the fact that this is what we agreed to, $1,400 per ton for hot mix.
And those are bonded.
And these are bonded arrangements. Under a bill design finance arrangement.
Yes.
They are using the same build design finance arrangement and now trying to justify paying contractors $2,700. So here it is, you have Tobago contractors who could do it for 100% less. You have blacklisted these Tobago contractors, and for some reason you have found the contractors, some of them with no previous track record, no previous history. Some of them, the only thing they have to their name is roofing, that they were putting on roof and selling galvanized. But now they are in Tobago paving roads. How could we as Tobagonians accept this?
And it's serious, because if you brought the premise on which the Tobago contractors are blacklisted is that there is some level of collusion and there were inflated costs. Basically, that was
his claim.
The claims, right? So if you are claiming elevated prices, how you could have contractors now paying twice the amount that you are querying?
So it is almost mind-boggling. And if it is corrupt, then if we are to go by his words that this inflated cost of $1,400 is corruption, well then what are we going to call this campaign twice as much? Well, that is corruption squared. And I want Tobagonians to understand some very interesting things happened over the last month or so. You could recall there was something that happened very strange, where you had a political leader fighting openly in public against his chief secretary. And in the fighting, the political leader made some startling allegations. And we saw a bluff of a pre-action protocol letter. We have heard nothing else. But you have never heard, in a real sense, a defense to the allegations. And then you have to take yourself back and you watch. What is happening in Tobago? Does what is happening now align with the claims of the political leader of the PDP? And if you're really honest with yourself, recognize that the political leader spoke about Trinidad contractors. And what they would have done. And now we are seeing Trinidad contractors popping up in the space that
more than that, before. So we were talking about the claims of the political leader of the PDP, but fast forward to the receipts that were placed in the public domain by the political leader of the People's National
Yes,
Movement,
yes.
Tobago Council.
Yeah.
We have also not seen or heard
Any defense.
Not
any
a defense.
defense
No
or
rebuttal.
rebuttal
For a man who
saying
always
that
say yes,
those-
yes.
precisely.
And
Yes.
not even that,
And
but
that
they
is
have
very
not
telling.
yet refuted the claim that the price they are paying
Is not
more.
what was
is,
receipted.
yeah, is more than the price that the THA paid to the contractors that they don't want to pay. So you don't want to pay the contractors for their $1,400 per ton, but you are comfortable telling Tobagonians you are going into this bill design finance arrangement with contractors from Trinidad for twice as much it costs, $2,700. And because you are now going into an arrangement where you are sidelining, and I want Tobagonians to, the Secretary of Infrastructure is on record, and we'll play that clip again, telling us that our Tobago-based contractors have been strategically disqualified.
And disqualified.
And on what basis
With
will
a
be
preliminary
disqualified? Precisely,
statement.
because when you have
Not
a
a finite
a
statement.
preliminary report, and I want to take us back to some past reports. So a preliminary report basically provides the findings. So let's say we have the Auditor General report. Auditor General said they went and they looked and they couldn't find X voucher to match X expenditure. It may have been the division would have been relocated. So it's not that the expenditure didn't happen, but they couldn't find. So probably subsequently you could go look wherever and produce the things that the report is saying that have not been produced. So findings were made. Was anyone given an opportunity to review the findings, comment, rebut, produce additional information that may inform the final report?
And we have to ask the question because the Chief Secretary didn't give us a proper methodology of how this audit was done. Went about. So we are less in the know as to whether you would have interviewed the right people.
That's it.
Who has the right information? Because you must understand, during this period, the division lost their management accountant. That is somebody who would have been critical. They do not have the administrator.
They didn't lose the management accountant.
Well, we know. Right. But, so you don't have none of the major players there because you don't have the management accountant. You would have suspended the a senior engineer. You also, your administrator who would have been there at that time is no longer there. So you have to ask the question, who did they really interview
Who they talk
to get the information? And so even the whole credibility of the audit is one that is left up, you know, for scrutiny. And when you look at, and if that is the basis upon you going to sideline Tobago contractors, because I want to segue into the crux of the matter that we're dealing with, because you would have seen one of the final clips that was there. Equipment.
We have some more, just one more clip and some photos, because we want to connect the dots. Because especially for the benefit of our viewers and our listeners, the last video clip that was seen, you would have seen a number of pieces of equipment that would have come up from Trinidad on the boat and so forth and different stuff. Yeah, this is it. Thanks a lot, Mr. Producer. So folks, we're seeing these equipment here. Now, let's make the connection, because to start with, all of these equipment are available in Tobago for rent. All of them available on the island
so you
for
see
rent.
The company in California.
We see a company. I want the
Constructions Company Limited.
I want the producer to play. I sent him a clip and show us some photos, because we had an occurrence on the weekend. Something happened at one of our schools where the Division of Education still have work going on on the school, and then this occurred over the weekend. We are seeing here
no consultation.
No consultation.
Oh, you have no car park. The car park. So they took off the fence from on the triangle.
Nicely. So folks, what we see there, that is the last clip that we showed at the beginning of the program. That is that clip, that machinery at work. Now on the weekend we had a terrible incident, and this was a flagrant attack against Tobagonians, and especially the Scarborough RC school, its management, the church board, everybody, where we saw equipment just turn up and a contractor bulldoze the fence, throw it down, the security on the compound don't know what taking place, called the principal, and this thing ended up into a whole, I mean, it was distasteful to say the least. And on one instance where one of the persons who were responsible at the compound, and we're seeing it here, reached out to the Secretary of Works, and his statement was along the lines of, they have nothing they can't do anything about it because it's state land that the school and other places around there occupying, so they have no say in the matter. Now this was the same secretary who was up in arms with the clique talking about what was taking place with the relocations of person for the airport.
Yes. But the question is the school occupying these lands unlawfully?
Exactly.
That comment in terms of not consulting with the school because they are on state lands is unfortunate and very ludicrous. Disrespectful and blatant disregard.
But, and you know, the thing about this, and I know Tobagonians are hurting because Tobagonians genuinely believed, you know, in the message and the utterances and the promise of the PDP. And the PDP sold Tobagonians a dream. You know, and it is, when I listened to the one of the I think it is the PTA, when I look at the president, and you could hear the disappointment. You could genuinely hear the disappointment because the very things that they condemned,
they are the ones.
They're doing worse, 10 times worse. They're doing imagine they had an issue with the process for the airport relocation. We all, you know, as Tobagonians understand how difficult it is. But at the same time, you go into an area, and this is my area. So this is a situation that I'm very passionate, and it is disrespectful for them to start a project in my electoral district and didn't even have the courtesy to have a consultation, to have some kind of engagement. They came, the chief secretary like to talk about the thief, like a thief in the night, but they came in the dead of the night. And when he said when you have dead of the night arrangements, is because you're doing something on the hand. The question is, what is the rush in this project? What is this thing that they need to have done so fast? Because I'll tell you this, that area, Smithfield, there's a road right a little above that is threatening both homes, life, limb. And the division. Because the Tobago Regional Health Authority is right there.
Nothing is being done. That is
not
an emergency.
And nothing is being done. The road is slipping away. The houses are cracking. There's a building, the rapid response building that can fall apart any minute because of the road. And that isn't urgent. That is not but all of a sudden, you would have triggered a process to cut a road. Yes, we know, the road eventually will be required to alleviate traffic. We are not saying no, we don't want the road, but we are saying, one, there are more urgent, life-threatening issues to be taken care of right in that area, right in front of your face.
Right where they connect.
And then we have an issue with the process.
Yeah.
And as far as I understand, he's claiming that the entire road is on state land, but I know I have residents calling me right now.
On good source.
And they are claiming that based on the route plan, because there's no proper, imagine a project has started and there's no survey plan. And I'm asking the question, is there a survey plan?
Yeah.
Where is EMA in all of this? Because you have homes right in the area, you have a construction
bordering where the road
and you have schools.
Side. Yes.
Plus you have two major schools. You have Bishop's High School
Light
and you have Light and Life, and you
of
have
course
Scarborough.
Yeah. But gentlemen, if we just look to how this situation is, like you are in your home, and even if you are on squatters' land, you occupy this piece of property. You are in your home, you're going out, somebody come, break down your gate, break down your fence, set up a tent, put equipment in there, have workmen, and you don't have a clue.
But that is trespassing.
You don't even know. The principal apparently was not aware that workers will be on her compound. Two tents were erected on the compound with workmen working and materials blocking and occupying the compound. How could that be right?
Let me show how disrespectful they even went further. There is a business place that normally sets up a tent.
Correct.
Right in front of the business where they have all their products. They just move the people out.
But there's a farmer.
So they can't
there's a farmer who told me
the businessman wasn't even aware that they were coming because he had his tent there with his goods to sell.
There's even a farmer who they just go on the property, no kind of explanation, no conversation. And this is a madness happening in this.
Yeah, but there was talk about consultation.
In their mandate, remember when they signed the agreement, they said they would consult.
This is just common courtesy. Common courtesy.
And they don't even have it. But this is the same Trevor James that, remember the gentleman uptown, when they just went and bulldozed the place, no consultation again, and that is the bombastic nature. It's a sort of arrogance. It's like no dog back, we'll do what we want, and nobody question.
Now,
let us see how far that gets.
To use part of their own mantra for their campaign, what they campaigned about, I want to echo it tonight. Tobago, wake up.
Yeah.
Tobago, wake up. Wake up and see what it is taking place. As the saying goes, what you could see in the day,
don't take bully fair.
Don't take bully fair to see in the night.
But the thing is as well, folks, if they are only 8 to 9 months into office, and if they are carrying on like this now, what they will do for the next couple...
And normally they say when you're courting,
exactly,
you're
not married.
Of course. So if the sweetness is,
if they're already behaving in this way, as we go back to the question of this evening's discussion, and as Mr. Manning, deceased, may God may his soul rest in peace, would have asked, is it a buyout or is it a sellout? And if they're selling, well, we know who buying because we see them coming. And then now the question is, who's selling and what they're getting? What are they getting for selling?
It goes back to the claims of the political leader.
Yes.
That is the point.
That has not.
It goes back to the claims of their own political leader
who told Tobago what was happening even before. Because the other thing is, this administration promised to be very transparent. I remember there's a clip with Dr. Faith telling Tobagonians they would be so transparent in the award of contracts that they would create this website. And I'm calling on the PDP because Tobagonians are asking the question, after 8 months, where is this website so that we can all see all the projects that were listed, all the contracts that were awarded, all the persons who would have bid, how
and
much they bid, and the amount they bid, and so that we can get an appreciation of what is happening and whether we are getting value for money. Because at the end of the day, the resources of the assembly is scarce, and we all need to know that the funds that are located to Tobago are being dealt with in a fair, equitable, and transparent manner.
And as you say that, Minority Leader, I want to put this in perspective. So, based on our political leader of the Tobago Council's comments, in his press conference, he indicated that 6 projects were awarded to contractors, and I'm prephrasing, contractors outside of Tobago in the sum of $309 million. If you recall, the parliamentary allocation to the Tobago House of Assembly for fiscal 2021-2022, which just ended on September 30th, is $264.135 million. How much was the 6 contracts awarded?
309.
Yes, so it means that we would have exceeded our allocation for DP by over $44 million.
Wow.
And this is going to persons outside of Tobago, contractors outside of Tobago. I would have said it at a previous Minority Report, because we are aware that the parliamentary allocation for DP is not sufficient. The THA will generally cut or suppress recurrent and transfer the savings from the recurrent to DP. So based on the July statements that was laid in the House at the last sitting, this statement indicated that they would have supplemented, so suppress recurrent expenditure and supplemented DP to the tune of $70 million.
Wow.
Yes?
Wow.
So it means that the new or the reallocated DP allocation based on this report is $334 million. Yes? So it means, therefore, that out of the 334 reallocated DP funds, how much we are getting in Tobago? Because you're saying 309 going to contractors outside of Tobago. So only 25 million.
So this is a
going to contractors. And you're not even sure that out of this 25 million, how many are Tobago contractors?
That's still not promised.
So I am saying, and this isn't about PNM, this isn't about PDP, this isn't about red or green, but every Tobagonian must be concerned with this. And I see a talk going around, and I really want to talk to my Tobago people, because I'm seeing where we are now turning around and telling ourselves, no, we're not good enough. We can't do this.
Correct.
We can't build
when
this.
We were doing it all the time.
It's Tobago contractors that have built this island.
And when you look at the clip, and I want to bring it down, we have to bring it down to how it affects the man on the ground and his pocket. We saw on the clip trucks coming off of the boat. We saw a flatbed truck.
Yes.
We saw steamrollers.
Excavator.
We saw excavators.
Nothing that not here.
And the thing about it is, in Tobago, there are no contractors that have a steamroller in Tobago, no contractor in Tobago that have a flatbed, no contractor in Tobago that have an excavator. And when you rent from these contractors, you're also renting their personnel. So it needs somebody to drive the excavator, to drive the steam.
But they bring up everybody.
Precisely, exactly.
Tobago getting employed on these
correct,
because I'm the representative.
We
have people there begging for work every day. A project is happening right in your area, and you can't even
the materials
coming up from
the laborers. Who are the laborers on the project?
Benefiting from this?
No.
So before, I'm very passionate about this, because a lot of people and coming out of the pandemic, people have been feeling the pain.
Yes.
And they continue to feel the pain, and this administration is saying it does not matter who contracts go to.
It matters. And let me tell you something. I all know briefs to the previous administration, but one of the things, and it was this same project that they sold to Tobago as some kind of corruption initiative and campaign to get campaign. It was a clear decision, policy decision, coming out of the pandemic to utilize the construction sector, because that is one of the fastest
to
build
employment
to stimulate the economy. And it is so that if they had gone about continuing to pay these contractors and so, we would have seen a buoyant Tobago economy.
And it is through the development program that you stimulate the economy.
Yes.
Remember when we had a downturn, I think it was 2000 or whenever, when the former deceased, God rest his soul, Prime Minister Manning, globally there was an economic downturn. But in Trinidad and Tobago, we were not feeling the effects of that global downturn because of the policy of the then PNM administration to foster the public sector investment program. So we had the building of Hyatt, we had the building of the government plaza, we had the building of the towers, we had the overpass, we had the highway. So we weren't feeling it because people were being engaged.
But revert even to the period between Mr. Hochoy Charles and the Orville London regime. And there were two significant things that happened there. Mr. Charles had started a program of development in Tobago, building the North Side Road, a lot of bridges and that kind of thing had started. And they were, when Mr. London came in, of course they had questions about how some of these contracts were awarded and the process and all of that. But Mr. London, and he met a lot of bills pile up. But Mr. London didn't take this wicked position to say, I will blacklist all these
and I wouldn't pay you.
What he did, he had a conversation with the Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Yet Ming, at the time, and he was able to decide what I will do. The verifiable bills, I will pay those as they come. So he got the funding to pay the verifiable bills, and he continued the program of development, and that is how Tobago really kick-started its development. Another thing that Mr. London said, and he said it without contradiction, without fear, is that we would have a policy of localized preference for the Tobago contractors because he understood how important it was to build capacity in Tobago.
The same capacity that they say
and when you build the capacity in Tobago, so when as a contractor I get jobs, I employ my Tobagonians. My Tobagonians go out and purchase from the Tobago supermarket, the Tobago stores, the Tobago shop, the Tobago parlor, the Tobago cobbler, the Tobago.
And look as well, look how, and not just circulate, they also have investment, because when, as I earn as a contractor, I am now able to diversify and divest.
Excellent.
So I may say, let me also get in, I might put up a guest house.
Correct.
In the case, I know one Tobago contractor now has put down one of the first newest hotel product in Tobago in the longest while, and that would have came out from the different opportunities that he
and the revenue earned from,
and now that in itself would be an increased revenue earner that would help to expand the Tobago and create employment. And that is how you build an economy. You don't build an economy by suppressing your own and then shipping the money out. That is how you deflate an economy.
I want us to remind Tobagonians, because you made a reference to this statement that was made about transparency. And I'll ask the producer to play that clip where we saw the now Deputy Chief Secretary would have made certain statements. Could we have that clip, please?
We want to ensure that every time you have a question, you know that you can go to our website that is run by the Tobago House of Assembly and find the information about that particular thing. We want you to know that if any contract for how much millions of dollars give away, you should be able to pull up that website and say, here what? These were the 10 companies that vie for that contract. This is the company that got the contract, and this is why this company got the contract. We shouldn't have to be telling you, it is not your business, but this is public, this is private business, and it is not your, no. the Progressive Democratic Patriots is insisting that when, on your behalf, we spend your money, you know exactly what is going on. We had to fix this.
So wedding website for the 6 contractors for the $309 million
that has been spent or that went out in contracts.
Where we money? Bring the website.
We want our website. We want the link.
Bring the website today. Today. Bring it
today.
Yes.
And let me just say something. You know why is this happening in this whole process, especially with what took place over the weekend? We have seen the Division of Education dropping the ball from since earlier in the year.
Very sad.
And only excuses being made excuses.
Remember.
Now they're affecting the same Division of Education. Look how they're treating education on the island. Look how they're treating the schools, the principals, the teachers. This is atrocious.
I have my t-shirt says get out there. Tobagonians, come out.
Yeah.
Tobagonians, it's time we get up, we wake up, and we
need to
get
stop being
out
silent.
there. We need to stop being silent. We need to stop saying, ow, give them a chance.
Speak
we
out.
Need to speak. This is our business. This is our future.
Don't fear victimization.
Don't fear victimization. Yeah. We need to stand up against this. This is tyranny.
Yeah. So they come for the contractors.
Yeah, exactly.
They came for the contractor
remember they start with APNM.
They start with
political hires.
Political
they came for the political hires.
Yes.
We said nothing.
Yes.
They came for the contractors. We said nothing. Now they're coming in the schools.
Yes, and we still
ain't saying nothing.
When will we speak?
When will we
wake
speak
up?
Yeah.
Wake up.
Wake
when
up.
Will we speak?
Wake up, Tobago. Wake up. I don't know what slumber we in, but we need to wake up. And tonight is the night. From tonight, I'm calling on Tobagonians to just wake up. The people waiting on the ex gratia, they tell you since Christmas, you're getting ex gratia and you sit down there quiet in a corner waiting. It's $10,000 they give.
And
tell you they're giving all
$309 million.
Give away 300. They send Vanilla on a trip for $400,000 first class.
Mind you, we heard from the Secretary of Tourism, they paid $200,000+ to charter one flight.
Look in Grenada,
parties.
they went, about 12 of them went and party in Grenada. Imagine Miami. I was there in Miami where NCC launched and you had radio stations from all over coming interested in Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. And we had a secretary who decided to stay away from that. No presence. Tobago Carnival nowhere in Miami, not even a billboard, not even a jersey, not even a flyer. We serious? We serious in this place? You have the mass band leaders, you're treating them like dog.
Calypsonians.
You have Calypsonians, the begging is now I see they give Tuco some little competition.
Yeah.
The mass band leaders still don't even know how. Imagine these people been down for the last 2 years.
2+.
And you expect them to just find money to produce quality mass? And you want to compete with Trinidad, you want to compete with Miami, Barbados, St. Lucia, and everywhere else? All the serious? You're spending money to fet, but you can't put the money in the hands of the people who would really showcase the world and lift the culture. I saw one prominent Tobagonian having to cuss on Facebook for their money, and that is how we're treating our artists. On this island, and we saying we're serious, and they're saying they come to fix this. They ain't fixing nothing. All they're fixing is their self.
And mind you, the persons who supposed to be responsible for those things don't know what's going on, because there's a lot of backroom deals and side conversations and small meetings. What is really going on? Tobago,
we want to change.
Wake up. And Kelvin, you started saying something about the ex gratia, and we're looking to wrap up. I think it's time that you put it out there that this administration pay this money, you know.
No, I am calling, and I want to, this is a signal. I'm telling Farley today, if you do not pay this ex gratia by the end of October, I am marching with the rest of Tobago for this ex gratia, because you made that promise and you have to pay that ex gratia. And I'm saying nothing less than 10,000, because that is where promised.
That is what was promised. That is what was promised.
Pay the people the ex gratia now. because you have money to do all kind of nonsense. If you could pay $308 million to contractors in Trinidad, you could pay the hard-working Tobago public servant. Pay the ex gratia.
Folks, fire. This is fire. We need water to cool down this set here this evening. But as you would have heard from the minority leader, enough is enough. There are too many broken promises, and again, as we started by saying, too much of what is said is not done. And then what is being done, you can't ask about it. And this is the administration that spoke about transparency. They spoke about consultation. They spoke about that consultative process. They condemn everything that was wrong from the past administration, and then come now to do 10 times worse.
What was wrong then is right now.
Is right now? And you're magnifying it? No.
Right
no.
Right.
This had to stop tonight. And as per usual, we know that tomorrow morning you're going to start to see a number of things shuffling and shifting. We saw a mandate Monday called off on Monday.
They can't even
and that was another promise.
They can't even promise to anything.
Yes.
But I know, because you see, when we call them out, they just run and try to pretend like they're doing something. So I expect that between today and before the end of the week, you would hear something about the ex gratia.
And even another promise, I was reading the mandate document. And one of the things they indicated in that document is that they will seek to ensure or promote payment of taxes by businesses in Tobago. So based on what is happening,
that is an
who wear the
excellent
tax? If you're shipping out 309,
you're not getting
what is the revenue
coming back.
and the profits that they are paying this taxes on?
All its taxes
where the Trinidad contractors pay their taxes
in Trinidad. So it's not being remitted here in Tobago.
Another broken promise.
Another broken promise. And folks, what I want to tell you all, you see that social contract that they let constituents sign?
We need
only tear that up.
Yeah, tear that up.
Tear that up. Use it to light fire. Because that is worth absolutely nothing.
Worth nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And I always say, you see this, the Farley and friends and the people do as the leaders do. And you see this gentleman, he makes promises and he does not keep them.
Every time.
The contractors, you told them, remember he
made them paid on the 24th of June. Was June or July?
June.
24th of June.
We are now, what? October.
And the thing about it is, no comments were made. So June 24th came and passed, and you didn't even go back. And you not only made the commitment to the contractors, you know, you also made it to the banks and the financial institutions because they were looking to be paid what was owed to them. So you said nothing. June 24th came and went. You said nothing. The media and the contractors had to reach out to you to find out what is
taking place.
And then is when you will say that this audit is happening. But the audit was said that it will come since in January.
Yes, we were told about.
So this audit just didn't pop up overnight.
Yeah.
So it's games, folks. We have been played a game, and this game, the end of it is because there's a sellout. Tobago is being sold as we speak.
I just want to read.
Is it a sellout or a buyout?
Who is buying and who is selling?
Who is selling?
I just want to read some quick comments.
Getting?
Somebody say, all you're making me cry. We doomed here in Tobago. Doomed. That's what this is a Tobagonian who listening to the program, who would have felt passionately that change was needed. We have somebody asking a question as well. Can Tobago contractors do work in Trinidad?
It is very the opportunity is very, so this is in Tobago where the opportunity is real, because it's very difficult to compete in Trinidad. That is the reality. It is very difficult.
Which Tobago contractor could
that is why
no, but I think generally in terms of the
and people try to localize contracts as well. So it is the same way in Trinidad. You would have, in a sense, people when you have work in South, they will try to.
Of course, when you have work in Diego Martin, you want to ensure that
somebody from Diego Martin. And in Tobago is no different. If we have works in Tobago, you want to ensure that the people of Tobago benefit.
And we have somebody else asking which Tobago contractor can deliver these projects in the same time frame.
All.
And exactly.
All, because they have been doing it. Whoever asks that question, years. I can tell you, if you go on any bridge, road, wherever, it has been done by Tobagonians for the past however long we've been here. So don't try to bring down our Tobago people. They have the capacity, and if you give them the opportunity, they will deliver.
Produce, yeah.
Because the same Trevor, and listen to the hypocrisy. Trevor stood up in the house and was saying that they want to move away from NITCO and UDICOT doing any kind of project management in Tobago.
And use local.
And they want to create their own, because Tobagonians could do it. We have top engineers, we have top this. So if we have top engineers, top contractors, so why they're not good enough to do the work here in Tobago? If we can have our own project management company, why we can't have our own contractors building Tobago? And this was their mantra, is them who tell us Tobago for Tobagonians. And then now we're turning around.
But Kelvin, this is consistent.
This is also the autonomy discussion, because if we are saying we want to be an autonomous island, if we want to say that we are ready to take care of our own business here in Tobago, they like to say that.
And how are we building the capacity? How are we? Okay, if you are saying
our people to take
that we don't have the capacity now, which we don't share that view, how are you building the capacity of the Tobago and the Tobago business?
This is
by shipping out $309 million.
And as I was saying, this is consistent with this administration's mantra, because let me remind you all, it's the same thing they said about TPAC. When TPAC was established by the former administration, they condemned TPAC right down.
But
that
TPAC has proven them.
TPAC has proven, and again, Tobagonian performers, Tobagonian dancers, Tobagonian management.
Remember the Shaw Park Cultural Complex? They had the worst to say about that complex. Now the complex, they're using it for every and anything. They love the complex.
So what we have to recognize is that this affects all of us.
All of us.
All of us.
All of us in Tobago. All Tobagonians. So let us open our eyes. Let us see what is really happening, and let us stand up, as the minority leader said, stand up and speak out. The time to be quiet is no more.
It's no more.
No more.
Yeah. Folks, we want to thank you for viewing this evening. We want to thank you for participating in the conversations. We see a lot of persons on the live just giving your 2 cents worth and really supporting this conversation this evening, and this is the same support we want to see whenever the minority calls out this administration on the broken promises and so on. So we want to thank you for being with us. We are a little over our time. We thank the producer for being lenient with us this evening. We don't know how long His Grace will abide with us, but we really want to thank our producer and Tobago Updates for having us and continuing to support the work of the Minority Report.
We'll be having our press conference next week, Thursday as well. So we invite everyone to lock on to that. There will be some interesting information coming out in that press conference. So Tobago, wake up. Thank you for logging on. Share this. Let this message continue to go wide and far and loud. It is time for us to wake up and mind our business.
According to the Pan-Tobago president, dance a yard before you dance abroad.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a wonderful night. I'm Arlan David, your host this evening, and the minority leader, Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, minority councillor, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit, joining us today for this discussion. We thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next week Tuesday and next week Thursday, logging on to our press conference. Have a wonderful night.